A wise man must learn to carry joy within himself. Diogenes of Sinope. You were raised with a myth that a real man must suffer for love, that he must win a woman's heart to validate his existence, that chasing her is noble, and yearning makes you human. But what they never told you is that this pursuit, this romantic ideal, was crafted to break you. You bought into it, and the cost was your time, your dignity, your very essence. Diogenes of Sinope, the barefoot philosopher who slept in a barrel, who wandered Athens in broad daylight with a lamp looking for an honest man, saw through it all. While other thinkers wrote treatises about virtue and the stars, Diogenes hurled contempt at the men shackled by desire. He said a wise man carries his happiness within. But you anchored yours to her smile, her attention, her validation. And in doing so, you surrendered your self-worth. You don't chase women out of love. You chase them to fill a void. You think you're moving toward affection, but you're just running from yourself. Diogenes would laugh at this, and he often did. Once, upon seeing a young man blush in front of a beautiful woman, he shouted, "Don't be embarrassed. It's not your fault but nature's, for making such things irresistible to fools. You call your hunger romantic. He called it pathetic. You think chasing women proves your strength. He saw it as perfume covering weakness." Diogenes urinated in public. He pleasured himself in the marketplace. When people gasped, he said, "If only rubbing my belly cured hunger too." He wasn't shameless. He was holding up a mirror to yours. Your shame is the leash society strapped onto your masculinity. You suppress your instincts not to master them, but to appear acceptable. You play the gentleman not for virtue, but for strategy, a strategy to be chosen. You wear masks. Diogenes burned them. You put women on pedestals. He smashed them. You enter a room looking for beauty. Diogenes entered looking for fools, and usually found them wearing cologne and desperation. "I threw away my cup," he once said, "when I saw a child drinking from his hands." He stripped life to its bones. You, on the other hand, decorate your prison cell. You chase luxury before mastering discipline. Diogenes wasn't against women. He was against illusions. And the deadliest illusion for a man is believing a woman's love will complete him. "He has the most," Diogenes said, "who is content with the least." But you're never content. You scroll, swipe, and wait on messages like they're medicine. You dwell among the ghosts of women who didn't want you, or worse, who did, until you gave them too much and they lost interest. They told you to pursue. But Diogenes never chased. He stood still and let the truth shame the world. When Alexander the Great approached him and asked, "Is there anything I can do for you?" Diogenes didn't flatter him. He didn't bow. He simply said, "Yes. Step out of my sunlight." That's power. That's freedom. That's a man who doesn't orbit, unlike you, who chases women like they're the sun. You mold yourself to their preferences. You trim away your essence to fit their desires, then call it love. Diogenes called it slavery. Not because women enslave you, but because you hand them the chains with a smile and a bouquet. He once said, "The most beautiful woman means nothing without character, and character is nothing without truth." And here's the truth. Most of what you call love is just your fear of being alone, dressed in poetic language. Most of what you offer isn't generosity, it's negotiation. You trade time, energy, and ambition for a mirror to reflect your worth. That's not love. It's a transaction. And when it collapses, when she grows distant, stops replying, and loves you less the more you love her, you're shattered. Not because she left, but because she took the only mirror that made you feel valuable. Diogenes didn't need a mirror. He faced life unfiltered. No sweet lies. No perfume unwrought. He exposed illusions, even when it made people furious, because nothing angers a crowd more than truth. So I ask you, not as a preacher, but as a brother, when will you stop chasing what can never complete you? When will you stop confusing obedience with love? Sacrifice with connection? Erasing yourself with romance? The woman you chase isn't your enemy. The illusion you created of her is. You think it's loyalty. It's dependency. You call it passion. It's addiction. You keep telling yourself she's different, that this time she sees you, understands you. But Diogenes said, "It is the privilege of the gods to want nothing, and of godlike men to want little." So tell me, what godlike man collapses from a missed text? You weren't born to chase. You weren't made to orbit. You were born to build. But somewhere, someone convinced you that your worth lies in being picked, not in choosing. So now you scroll through apps like a beggar, grin through rejection like a clown, and swallow your pride like medicine. You call it dating. Diogenes would have called it decay. He walked barefoot, mocked the powerful, lived like a wolf among sheep, and even Alexander the Great stood in awe. Why? Because Diogenes had nothing to lose. And a man with nothing to lose cannot be controlled. But you give everything before she even asks. You lose sleep over her silence. You change your clothes, your tone, your goals, all to be a better fit. You say it's romance. Diogenes would bark at that and call it what it is, submission. And here's the hardest truth, she doesn't respect it. Not because she's cruel, but because deep down she knows what Diogenes knew, that whatever chases something doesn't possess it. It's possessed by it. And women, consciously or not, are drawn to strength, not submission. To sovereignty, not supplication. Your eagerness has made you invisible. Your self-betrayal has become background noise. You think she's the dream. But the dream was always the feeling of being wanted. And when that feeling fades, your identity crumbles. So you return to the hunt, wounded, desperate, looking for a new goddess to validate your manhood. But Diogenes wasn't looking for validation. He was looking for a man. Not just a male, but a soul forged in fire, not flattery. A man who stands alone and still feels whole. Not a boy begging for approval. That realization burns. That it wasn't her you loved, but who you got to pretend to be beside her. And when she's gone, you miss not her, but the way she distracted you from yourself. You were taught to scale mountains, but never taught to explore your own depths. You were taught to earn money, not wisdom. To attract women, not question why. So when you finally stop and take stock of your life, you see that it was spent chasing ghosts. Women who didn't want you. Women who used the version of you that served them. And you thought that was normal. Diogenes didn't. He thought it was tragic. He said, "Other dogs bite only their enemies. I bite my friends to save them." So let this bite wake you. Stop chasing what flees. Stop trading your soul for crumbs. Stop believing love is earned by shrinking yourself. The man who knows his worth does not beg. He builds. He walks. And if she walks beside him, fine. If not, he keeps walking. That was Diogenes. That can be you. But only if you let go of the fantasy. Only if you stop believing that women will redeem you. Because no woman, no matter how radiant, can lead you back to yourself. And until you find that man, the one who is complete without applause, who walks alone with pride, you will always mistake hope for meaning, breadcrumbs for love, and the chase for purpose. And that isn't love. That's servitude. And it ends when you say it does. Now 5 advice only for you. The mother complex and psychological roots. Delve into Carl Jung's idea of the mother complex. How many men unconsciously seek nurturing, validation, or salvation in women because they never fully individuated from the maternal archetype? The woman becomes not a partner, but a symbolic savior. Possible angle. You didn't fall in love with her, you fell into projection. You weren't seeking a lover. You were looking for a mother. Not one to raise you, but to rescue you. 2. Romanticism versus reality. Expose how modern romantic culture, movies, media, poetry, feeds young men fantasies about love, suffering, and sacrifice, setting them up for disappointment and self-erasure. Possible angle. They sold you poetry, and you drank it like wine. But when it wore off, all that remained was a hangover of false hope and wasted time. 3. The loss of male initiation and brotherhood. Highlight how ancient cultures initiated boys into manhood, teaching discipline, solitude, and resilience. Modern men are often left with no rite of passage but heartbreak. Possible angle. No elder took you into the forest. No mentor taught you silence. So heartbreak became your teacher, and she carved the lesson deep. 4. Rebuilding the inner citadel. Focus on the idea that the mature man must build his inner citadel, like the Stoics taught, a fortress of mind and spirit no external force can shake. Possible angle. She left, but the real tragedy was that your inner fortress collapsed because you never built it. You outsourced your strength to her smile. 5. Real sovereignty. Solitude without bitterness. Differentiate between isolation and solitude. A sovereign man is not bitter toward women. He simply no longer gives away his crown for a kiss. Possible angle. You don't need to hate her. You need to free yourself. Not from her, but from the illusion that her approval made you a man.